Several people have been arrested in connection with an attack on two e-hailing drivers yesterday. They were shot and assaulted in KK section in KwaDabeka. KZN Transport spokesperson Ndabezinhle Sibiya joins us now for more on this story. Ndabezinhle, thanks for your time this morning. It's not a new story. And perhaps, I see that there's been an appeal now for the KZN Police Commissioner to also kind of intervene. But surely this should be broadened to national now, given that this has spread from Gauteng to KwaZulu-Natal.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Yesterday, the MEC for Transport and Human Settlements, Sibonso Duma, received a call from the e-hailing drivers, as well as the passengers, informing him about the shooting incident, as well as the assault of the e-hailing drivers. He offered to work with the Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi to ensure that there is peace and stability here in KwaDabeka. Your team was here in the afternoon, and they witnessed, the tension that was unfolding. But this morning, the MEC, expressed his deepest appreciation to the Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, his team, as well as to the provincial regulatory authority which is attached to the Department of Transport, for the decisiveness. We can confirm that between 10 and 15 inspectors have been arrested, but the MEC Sibonso Duma has also indicated that he will await, the Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi to give more details about, the nature of charges that the suspects are going to be facing.
So, right, you're confirming the arrest that's taken place now in connection with this case. Do you get a sense as the Transport Department that, and I'm talking national here, KwaZulu-Natal, I'm sure you're privy to the national conversations taking place as well, but that there is something brewing within the taxi industry, perhaps not brewing, it's certainly not new, but there is a new kind of discord that's brewing in the taxi industry?
Well, the industry itself has always, experienced tension, conflicts, but there are mechanisms in place, to deal with, the tension as well as the conflict. You'll recall that sometime last year, we experienced, the disruption of the public transport system as a result of, the taxi strike. But MEC Duma, working with the national government, as well as the South African National Taxi Council, they managed, to turn around the situation. So this time around, we are faced with, the evolution of the public transport industry. As you know, that we now have the e-hailing industry, which is coming in, and the taxi, operators, they feel that, their business is being threatened. That is why there is this tension. But the MEC Sibonso Duma has offered to work with them so that we are part of the evolution of the transport industry. If you look at what has happened in terms of the legislation, last year, in June, the President of the country, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, signed into law the amended National Land Transport Act. What we are now waiting for is a clear indication in terms of the regulations that must govern the e-hailing industry, and how, as the Department of Transport, working with municipalities, must ensure that there is efficiency in terms of the issuing of permits, the training of e-hailing drivers. What Duma has emphasized is that, look, there has to be coexistence between the taxi drivers as well as the e-hailing drivers.
Look, we also understand that the taxi drivers, the taxi industry is in many ways the backbone of travel in our country, for people getting to work, to school, to healthcare facilities. And I think that should be noted, particularly in the sense that our rail is in such disarray. So our commuters don't have very many options. Is it possible in this context, when there is a lot of entitlement, I suppose, from the taxi industry, for them to come to an agreement with e-hailing drivers?
Well, I think, through a collective wisdom, we can usher in a new era. That is what the MEC Duma pointed out in a meeting with the Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi last year, together with the South African National Taxi Council. In that meeting, there were representatives of Taxi Association. He believes that, with the new National Land Transport Act, and as well as the regulations governing the e-hailing, sector, we are going to see the evolution of the transport sector. Remember, during the apartheid era, there were no black operators. Black people were prevented from getting into the public transport sector. But just after 1994, we saw the transformation of the public transport sector with the South African National Taxi Council being established, KwaZulu-Natal, spearheading that transformation with leaders that, were behind the transformation of KwaZulu-Natal, accelerating the transformation of the public transport sector. If you look at MEC Duma in 2009, he became the member of the Portfolio Committee on Transport. So he has, assured the people of KwaZulu-Natal that he will work on the solid foundation that has been laid over the years. And we want to see, the e-hailing drivers, as you know, that these are youngsters fresh from high school, fresh from, institutions of higher learning, being integrated into the public transport sector. The MEC is working flat out together with the e-hailing, the KZN e-hailing council, so that we are part of the transformation of the public transport sector. So in short, we are very hopeful that, there is going to be, a collective wisdom which is going to ensure that we usher in a new era of prosperity in relation to the public transport sector in KwaZulu-Natal.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds easier said than done, doesn't it? And we know that a young man as well in Gauteng, outside Maponya Mall in Soweto, Siyanda Mvelase, was shot dead just some weeks ago, also allegedly by people in the taxi industry. I've got the statement now from your department and from the MEC for Transport in KZN, Ndabezinhle. So 10 and the arrest of between 10 and 15 suspects in this morning's operation. Is that all related to the attack in KK section in KwaDabeka? And if it is, who are these suspects? Are they in the taxi industry?
Well, I think, the Lieutenant General Nhlatam Khwanazi will give more details. That is what MEC Duma has emphasized. He will give a space to the Lieutenant General and his team, to provide more details in terms of the charges that these suspects, will be facing, and the actual number, because at this stage we are estimating that it's between 10 and 15. And then another issue, you indicated that it's easier said than done. We believe that we are in a position to hold hands and move in the same direction, because in the past KwaZulu-Natal was riddled by political violence that resulted in the death of many people. There is no challenge that will prevent us from ushering in prosperity. The experience that we've acquired over the years in terms of conflict management is that experience that will ensure that we navigate the era that we are currently in. It is the transformation that we are facing, the evolution of the public transport industry, and with time we are going to look back and marvel the manner in which this transformation ensured that we move in a new era in terms of the public transport industry.
I'm sorry, Ndabezinhle, I think I might have missed this part of your answer, but the people arrested, did you say whether or not they are from the industry, from the taxi industry?
Well, what I indicated is that look, they are in the public transport industry. They are taxi operators, taxi drivers, and many other suspects. But uppermost, the MEC sponsor Duma has indicated that he will give the Lieutenant General and his team to give more details. So at this stage, we are just pointing out what we have picked up as the Department of Transport. But in terms of the detail, will allow the law enforcement agencies at the level of the Lieutenant General Nhlatam Khwanazi to provide more details.
Yeah. Ndabezinhle Sibiya is the spokesperson for the Department of Transport in KwaZulu-Natal.